not 15 seconds because you called her name. Sir, the concern the opposition is raising here is an issue of practice. We believe it's poor practice, first of all, for a minister so closely linked to legislation to chair a committee in the first place. That's a whole other issue. But the issue right in front of us right now is that the Honourable John Carter, having chaired the Select Committee, is now sitting as Minister in charge of the bill, answering questions from the Committee of the Whole, all members of Parliament, having already chaired the Select Committee. Now, this is not an attack on the government. Mr Hyde is sitting here diligently, he's contributing, he's doing a good job as Minister in charge, sitting in the chair. But we have another Minister who's here, the Honourable David Carter. Seems to me that if Mr Hyde has to be away temporarily, the Honourable David Carter could sit in the chair, but it is verging on preposterous for the Honourable John Carter to try and say this is a good parliamentary practice for him to chair the Select Committee, the bill to be returned to the House, go into the Committee of the Whole, and he then sits there as the arbiter and the responder to the questions that the legislature has on the legislation. They can fix this very quickly by simply swapping places. Order. So my question to you is there any issues around conflict?
Order. The member is retraversing the same ground again, in just slightly different words, but it's recasting things. I just make the point. The only requirement on the chair is that if the minister in charge of the bill is in the House, they have to be in the chair. And if the member who's in charge of the bill is not in the House, it's entirely within the government's decision to decide who sits in the chair. It's a little bit, I guess, akin to what happens at question time. It's for the government to decide who answers questions. If the minister particular is absent, well, then they can determine who they wish to have here. Whether the member has been on the Select Committee or the chair does not impinge on that particular. Now, if the member, I don't want to go over this again, if the member wants to take the issue further and have the Speaker make a written ruling on this, well, I'm happy to have the matter referred to the Speaker and he can come back and rule on it. But that's my ruling on it. Mr Carter is entitled perfectly to sit here and undertake the business because that's the government's decision. Point of order, the Honourable Tau Henare.
Mr Chair.